Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're listening or watching to this latest episode of VODCAST podcast with me, Joe Redmond, and my good friend, Simon Townley. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm very well, mate. Thank you very much for joining me on this late evening.
No, you're well. It is a late evening. I've been working. I work till 9:30. That's the only time I can squeeze it in this week. But yeah, you've been up to much this week, mate. I know you've had a few trips to the hospital. All good?
Yeah, all good. Just doing a bit of a sprint to get some shit finished and get done. Got pins off my legs, which is good. Had a thing taken out of my artery, which is something they put in there. Oh, mate, long story, boring. And I've had my tooth done.
Had your tooth done? What was wrong with it?
Well, you might not have noticed, Joseph, but since I had my fall, I lost a tooth at the front. And since then, I've learned to smile without using my top lip. So it's like this. And,
so you have to learn how to smile again now.
This is why I've been talking to Simon Maroos so much, because he's been sorting me out with my dentist appointment.
Fair enough. Shout out to Simon Maroos for sorting them peggies out.
Look at that. Fake that.
That's a fang and half, that, isn't it?
No, next to fang.
Or is it next to fang? Right. Sorry.
That's how good it is. Can't tell. But yeah, buzzing with that. Because I had no tooth there. So for like months now, I've been sort of like covering my mouth all the time when I was laughing and stuff.
Fair enough. Been up to much apart from that then?
No. I haven't got much
stuff.
No,
fair enough. We're back in isolation on this side, as you know.
You are.
So that's unfortunate. But it is what it is. Mrs. has got COVID again. My little boy were ill, so we're adamant he had it, but they reckon kids can't get it and you can't test him anyway. But he were ill for last week. Then he took a week off nursery. Then as he was getting over it towards the end of this week, the missus got ill. And then she took a test because she's a nurse, so she has to test at home. And that came back positive. And the day after, she took a test again, a proper official test down at Blackburn Hospital. That came back positive as well. So we've got COVID going around the house again. So I'll make sure to give the microphone a wipe down. Hopefully no one's getting, COVID in the headphones, but I don't think it works like that. But the government will probably tell you it does, to be fair. But yeah, it's been a mad week. I've just done the 4 days in a row at work as well, actually. Got a couple of days off now, so fingers crossed. But the last day I did have off was Saturday when I did the watch along for Burnley 0, West Brom 0. See that? Brilliant segue, that. Brilliant segue. But that was meant to be a day off, a day of relax, a day that I could chill, a day that I could enjoy myself. But thanks to Burnley Football Club, I couldn't because of that.
Well, let's just
abject
press it back a bit. Technically, it is the epitome of relaxing because you had nothing to get up for, nothing to worry about. It was.
You say nothing to worry about. Well, talking clear of one off line.
Yeah, forget about that.
Chat myself.
Yeah, but it was like you said, there wasn't very much else other than on Burnley's aspect anyway to get your heart rate raising.
No, and we will put a disclaimer in here now. Normally these podcasts, and I know I say this every week, and me and Simon will probably witter on to make it an hour, talking sharp like we always do. How we get it to an hour sometimes, I have no idea. I'm sure we just talk a little bit slower on some podcasts when nothing happens. But if we get an hour out of Burnley 0, West Brom 0, then we deserve a pro contract at Spotify, Spotify podcast, because that will be an absolute miracle.
Let's go.
Excuse me. So,
time's on.
If this podcast is only 45 minutes, then you know why, because it's very, very difficult to get.
Should we just skip to the review in the next match? Just skip this.
A 10-minute podcast there, because we don't do a big review on matches, do it next match. Preview, sorry. But yeah, before we do get started, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, if you're watching on YouTube, we are, of course, sponsored by Pitch Sport. If you haven't already, please go and download the app. It is available on both Android and Apple, at the App Store and Google Play, should I say. And it's available across the world now as well, I believe. Well, it's available in Ireland anyway, and that's good enough for me. So yeah, if you haven't already, please download the app, because like I say every week, it's sort of like a fan hub app where you can go and chat to fans of other clubs and fans of your own club, put your opinions across, your lineups, your predictions, and answer fan time questions. And there is a new one on this week from me, but we'll get into that later on. But yeah, we've mentioned it briefly, but Burnley 0, West Brom 0, Simon, go, and try not to fall asleep, mate.
Yeah, it was a very difficult match to surmise. When Burnley have this sort of pattern at the minute where they start a game pretty shit, and then the other team may be on top, they may be even winning, but then you constantly think to yourself, we'll play better in second half because we can't play any worse. Well, this was the first time ever that we actually played worse. We came out sort of it was. I said it on the watch along, and Tarky even said it after the game. It was like I've forgotten they had 10 men. It was almost like we had 10 men at times. The hole in the defence, because we were committing forward to try and break them down, which is obviously something that we struggle with in any term. Never mind when there's all of the men behind the ball. But then they just had that pace to deal with that counter attack, and we didn't have the pace to deal with getting back. But that being said, Tarky put a serious shift in, sort of like you said, clearing off the line. A couple of times he got back. There were that time where he drove. It were 2v1, and Louts were tracking to get back because obviously he done the overlap on the wing. He tracked to get back. Tarky realised he was on his own, so he kind of made it so the guy had to commit to which way you're going. You're going to pass it or not, because he stood in the middle and drove him out wide. So that were a let off. Porpy took the sting off that shot. Then Tarky cleared it off the line. There's so much to talk about, but it's all West Brom related.
Yeah, which is not good for a Burnley podcast. But what we can do is, like you say, Tarky put a shift in. I felt like Porpy put a shift in as well, collecting a couple of crosses and stuff. And Lawton as well. I thought Lawton had another good game. I think he's been fantastic. I think he started a little bit slowly, but that's not necessarily a criticism of him. I think everybody started slowly. Obviously, that's proven by the results. The first 8 games were absolutely shocking, but since then I think he's been brilliant. I thought them 3 were the only 3 that can come out of that game with their head held high. Really,
yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because like Jay is obviously the golden boy, and we all want him to do well. There's no doubting about that. But I just think, that the ball across the line again. This is probably the 3rd match in a row I've said that ball has whipped in, and another couple of inches Jade have been on it.
Yeah,
but no one else is. I've not heard anyone mention it, and it's just like them fine margins there are what other players get criticised for. They get criticised for. I'm not saying that Jay should definitely have put them in, but I'm saying that we expect that as Burnley fans from the other strikers, and especially the combinations that we're flitting between at minute. Other combinations would not get away as lightly. And let's put it this way, we're against 10 men. Everybody's asking for Jay and Vids up top or whatever, and Jay couldn't break them down, and that's the be all and end all of it. Beal, see what I did there? It was the be all and end all of it, and it's difficult because you want them players to start stepping up and saying, this is my position, this is my time to take the number 9 or the number 10 role, whatever it be that we're playing for. But we're just not seeing that creativity from up top or in the middle.
No, well, that was my next point. Is it Jay and Vids' fault? I mean, I know back in the day, and we stuck up for Barnes and Wood especially, it was their fault. It was Jay and Woods' fault, mainly Woods, Chris Wood, sorry, and Barnes, but now that it's been Jay and Vids up top, which everyone was asking for, now all of a sudden everyone's going, well, it's the midfield. Well, it's been the midfield all along, hasn't it? Like, we've not been creating anywhere near enough chances as we need to be. Admittedly, there has been some chances where people have been sitters. You've just mentioned the 2 Jay ones. Again, you could argue that he probably wasn't meant to put them in. Chris Wood missed a couple earlier in the season when he wasn't injured. So the chances are there, but nowhere near as much as they should be. So is it a problem with the entire front 6, or is it a problem with the midfield? What do you think?
Well, the defence is doing its job. Granted, it were a bit scruffy the way we did it this week, but in general consensus, we are actually quite solid at the back. We've got a formation back. We're doing well. Tarky, Charlie Taylor's back now, so obviously he's going to get better as we go along. But it is the midfield. But dare I say it, we have no Goodmanson, no Brady. That's what I'm saying. Dare I say it? We had no Brady. We had actually very little creativity from the width when McNeil is meant to be the winger. Granted, I've championed him to be a number 10 instead of a winger, but he doesn't seem to be delivering the assists at the minute that we're craving for. Like, what was it? Johnny Tate said it. I think it was about 70th minute, and we were still yet to register a shot on goal.
Well, we didn't register one throughout the match, as far as
that what it ended on? Yeah, but he was just brought it
sure.
on the 70th minute, and you know what I mean? They've got a good keeper, And we didn't even test him. We didn't even give him a chance to put a good name for himself. We were saying how good he is before the game and during the game, but didn't even see him.
No. The only thing we had to see him do were punch a few crosses, and eventually he learned how to catch them towards the end of the game, which is what we were criticising in front
when
of
he
the podcast,
realised that no one's actually going to challenge him anyway, so might as well catch him.
But it's interesting that you mentioned Dwight, because let's pull no punches here. Dwight has been absolutely shocking this season. There's been a few good games. You know, I'm not a massive fan of slagging players off, especially young players. Maybe we've put, not on the podcast anyway, maybe we've put too much pressure as a club on him. Maybe we've put too much pressure as a club on him as him being like the most creative player, and that's where all our chances sort of need to come from. But he has been poor this season. There's been a few good games, but you can count them on one hand. Liverpool, where he played well there. If I remember rightly, Palace as well, Palace away, but we all played well there again. But I don't know if you follow Burnley Analytic on Twitter. It's an account run by sort of like an analytic expert. I don't know if he calls himself an expert, someone who's into analytics. And he created, or she, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, to be fair, created loads of sort of like graphics, as they do for every game. It's just sort of like the average position of the player and the average position of the shape and the average passes where they were going. And the majority of the game against West Brom, Jay was actually playing in that number 10 role. It was playing a little bit behind the front two. But I think, a lot of us have championed Dwight for it. Sorry, I meant Dwight, not Jay. A lot of us have championed Dwight for it. But I think it was a wrong game to do it in. Like, they've gone down to 10 men. The best thing to do would be to get the ball out wide and stretch them. So is that sort of like, I was going to say, is it sort of like tactical failings from Dyche? I don't know if that's a correct term to use or what, but or is it just Dwight were naturally coming in or what? But it's interesting that a lot of us wanted it, and he did it there for West Brom, and he looked poor.
Well, this is my point, you see. So I'm championing for number 10. I still think he's a brilliant number 10 for us. Someone there, that creativity in the middle to drive the ball either side rather than just being committed to one side, because teams just isolate him and then he's struggling. Yeah. But because what my point were, because we didn't have the wide men of Brady and Gudmundsson, there was literally just one focal point. It was, you stop Dwight from being able to play the ball through and you stop any sort of shot. You know, we were delivering. We didn't even get to deliver crosses as much as we usually do. You know what I mean? There were no like Westy weren't dropping back and whipping them in, because we were that determined of, we've got 10 men against us now. We need to get in. And with Dwight, I do think he should play in that position. But are you asking me if it's a an attacking mistake by Dyche? I don't even think he'll have had out to do with it. I think that's naturally what Jay would have done in the game, because he was always left at the beginning. And then I think he just drifts in because he wants the ball. He's demanding the ball, but he's not getting it. So he's having to come in to find it.
Yeah, fair enough then. Well, let's talk about Mumbongo as well. Now, again, I don't want to criticise. I don't want to, because it's another attacking option, obviously. That's why. That's clearly the segue there. Because everyone keeps saying that, it should have been Jay. That now everyone started saying, it should be Vids. And now that hasn't worked as well. Everyone's like, get Mumbongo on. But that just seems to be another option that isn't working. And again, he is only young. I don't think he should be anywhere near the first team. I think the board have sort of like, not failed him, but he should be on loan at a Championship club or a League One club, getting experience. He shouldn't be on a Premier League bench and coming on for 10 minutes here and not getting a sniff in a game. That's where he should be. And if we had some depth, he probably would be out on loan at another club. But another game where Mumbongo come on, and again, he does look fast, but so far it does look like that's all he has. But again, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it were, there's not really much chance to get into the game, is there?
This game. There's two parts to this answer, right? Initially, there is no reason for that kind of player to get into the West Brom game. Granted, we haven't got any other options, so throw him in, that's fine. But My point is, he's the kind of player that you want running in behind teams. He's not the player that you want to get the ball and have to run through 2 or 3 players. Just from his physique, we haven't seen enough of him to even judge him yet, but just from his physique and what little I have seen of him, his ball control is something to be questioned at the minute. I'm not going to lie. He reminds me of Akinbaye's trampoline foot. But he is similar sort of play to sort of like your Andre, where you want to run him down the channels, you want the ball in, and you want him to power through and keep hold of the ball for you. But West Brom sat in their box defensively, so he ain't going to get that opportunity. The second part of that, the answer of Mumbongo is you are bang on, mate. He shouldn't be necessarily playing these games. But what I do like about him is the sort of he's looking from his social media. I've never met the guy, but looking from his social media channels is the gratitude he has towards playing. Now, you do want your players to be buzzing and getting on there and showing that they are grateful to doing it. But like you said, he's been hung out to dry a little bit because he probably needs a little bit more in the Championship.
Yeah, he needs more experience, definitely. Two big decisions in the game, one that went our way, one that didn't. Let's discuss them then, simply because we've done the game pretty much now. That's all there is to say. But the first one, handball, red card, Thomas, I can't remember it were, private joke, red card. I can't remember the player that got sent off the top of my head was. But we all know the decision. It falls to Vidra, he tries to flick it round him, hits the guy's arm, and then he gets sent off. There are a few mixed. A lot of Burnley fans are saying red. I think it's a red. He's the last man. A lot of mixed people on the neutral side of things. I think one of the commentators, was it Jamie Redknapp? I can't remember, on a different game where they're sort of like wrapping it up. Said if that's a red card, I might as well give up. Might as well give up now. But he's the last man, and he stops him getting clean through on goal. Whether it's intentional or not, intent has now been taken out of the game. So I don't see what the argument is here. It's a red card.
It's difficult for the defender in his defence to do anything else in that situation. He's running towards the ball. He knows he has to stop the ball. And it's not that he's gone to stop it intentionally with his hand, but if he does not stop that ball with his hand, then Vidra is through for a one-on-one, which defies a goal-scoring opportunity.
Exactly.
Defines. And if he doesn't have that opportunity because of a handball, then what is the referee's decision? It has to be a red. There's no doubt about it for me. But I understand what Jamie's saying. It's an unintentional handball. But there's no chance in this world that 9 out of 10 of the handballs I see that are given penalties for, the players thought, I'll touch this with my hand because I might get away with it. None of them have thought that. They've just jumped where they're in an unnatural position, as it's defined in the rule book. And they have jumped, and it has hit their hands. Now, all of them would say, I wish I'd have put my hands down now, because none of them meant to hit their hands. So you can't argue the toss of, if that's handball, then I give up, because none of them intentionally, in my mind, 9 out of 10 of them anyway, would intentionally go to handball that ball in that scenario. Fast forward to the next part of your question, which you're going to ask in a second, I imagine.
Well, yeah, but what I will say is that the intent part of it, as I said, it's irrelevant these days, isn't it? Like Jamie can say that until he's blue in the face. The intent has been taken out of the game. It's whether or not your arm's in an unnatural position, and if that arm then stops a goal-scoring opportunity or whatever. But
it stopped a goal-scoring opportunity is my argument.
Yeah,
I think the running motion is quite natural for when I watched it back 3 or 4 times. But then the argument now is the next one. Is it
well, the next one, who was it? Carl Bartley? I think this one was. It's weird that I remember that one, but not the other one. Again, I can't remember which Burnley, but it was poked towards goal. And Bartley's got his arm away from his body this time. He isn't running. He's stood still. I think he's jockeying in position a little bit, but now his arm's extended. His arm even moves towards the ball. And if both arms are moving towards the ball, you could argue they were trying to get his balance or whatever. But it's the fact that the one arm goes towards the ball. Admittedly, again, I don't think he's done it intentionally. I just think his body's done it naturally to hit it. But they're exactly the same. If anything, I think that one's more of a handball than the other one. It should have been a penalty, but I'm not going to sit here and say that's why we didn't win the game, because we didn't win the game because we were absolutely shite. So I'm not going to sit here and just say, we should have won the game because of the pen. But we should have had a penalty.
We do very well on this podcast to not bring VAR into every single week. We
used to when it first started, didn't we? I remember saying, shit house at week, VAR again, I'm sick of it.
And that was season 1 though, weren't it? And then now we're in season 2. We barely mention it, and we do well not to. When you listen to other channels and you listen to Talk Sports and the like, and it's a common theme every single day. But for once, I don't understand it again for a few times. But we have to discuss this one, because the referee got told, go and look at this, it's a red card. The referee had not stopped the game on the red card offence. He had not stopped the game. VAR said, you know what, you might want to look at this. But so the VAR made the decision that that's a red card in their eyes. Referee, go and have a look at it. He's confirmed, actually, go on, red card. Perfect play. Perfect VAR play. The referee can't be expected to see everything, but he can be expected to deal with what he can see, and the VAR is an option to deal with it. The second part of this one, when the handballs hit him, it's unnatural. because his arm's out in a penalty area. He's not running like the other guy, where it's just a constant pattern of running and it's hit his hand. These guys stood there thinking, making himself as big as possible. It's hit his hand. It's a Stonewall penalty. VAR, don't even look at it. Now, whose fault is that? Is that the referee's fault for not seeing it firsthand, or is that? Should we?
It's a mixture of all for me. Whoever it was at Stockley Park should have seen it. Mike Dean should have seen it. I don't know if Mike Dean's view was obstructed or anything, but it was that obvious when we saw it. I remember I shouted handball on the watch along. But I don't understand. It's exactly the same as the other one. How could it more so of a handball than the other one? I don't know how you can give one and not the other.
Vidra reacted on the first instance of the red card. He reacted. I didn't see many others react as much as Vidra did anyway. None of them did. And then the corner one, it's not corner, but when it's crossed it in, and it's hit him and it's hit Bartley. Everyone reacted to that. Everyone thought, this is it. We've got it. We've got the penalty. We've got the breakthrough, and myself included. So how he's not been looked at is my question. I'm not saying it's fair enough if you decide that watching it back, one's a red and one's not. But how can you not give the referee the tools to do his job in that game? You've done it once, so why not continue that trend? Matt Dean gets a lot of shit and unnecessary shit on Twitter with death threats and shout and all that, which is ridiculous. But he was given an option, and then the option was taken away from him on the second one. I don't understand it, and that's VAR's fault. Yeah,
I agree with that. We should have had a penalty for me, but I'm not going to use it as an excuse. We didn't win the game because we were shite, basically, not because we didn't get that penalty. But I know you mentioned it briefly. You've said that Tarky sort of like said at the end of the game he wasn't happy with the performance, and I just want to highlight that and talk about what he said because I did tweet it out. He said after the match, that's the worst I have seen us play in a while. You would have thought that it was us that had 10 men, so we take the point at the end of the day. We have a very thin squad at the moment, but that is no excuse. The amount of times we gave the ball away, we were just not good enough. So, normally, Dyche especially, I know it's his job and he protects the players, so I'm not criticising him for it, but Dyche especially comes out and thinks of an excuse, he'll just throw it out there, generic Dyche excuse, he's got a few of them. But it was good to see, because Dyche did criticise the play, but he also protected it at the same time and say, look, I've asked a lot of these players, but they weren't good enough. But it's good to see him and Tarky both come out and criticise the performance, because they need to be aware that wasn't good enough. And even though they're obviously the humans, they'll have opinions and stuff. I know that sometimes they hide behind their answers, but it's good to see that this time that they weren't hiding behind their answers. They were saying how they really felt.
No, it's refreshing and it's exciting to see it, because you think, right, well, come on then, they've acknowledged it. Now it's about how are you going to deal with it? How are we going to bounce back from this? Because, it was a piss-poor performance, but I'm not expecting Burnley to put 38 shifts in of top-quality performance. It's not, even City had a shit start to the season. But acknowledgement is all most fans would ask for. If you said to me, listen, we've been shit, we're getting relegated, and the fans and the managers come out and the players come out and said, we've been shit, we've done this, we should have done this, move forward from it, you will shut a lot of haters up. But let's see what happens. And you know what? He showed a real leadership quality there in the captain's role, where I know he's been getting the band a few when Ben Mee's been out, but he showed a real leadership there.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see. What we'll do now, we'll go to the fan reaction. I think it's we've done amazing to get to 20 minutes talking about that game. Honestly, I really do. I think there wasn't 20 minutes worth of action in there, let alone 20 minutes worth of stuff to talk about. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the fan reaction. And, of course, we ask for this every single week. It's a fan reaction where I ask you, the listeners, to send me your reactions to the game. And here's what the fans thought of the West Brom home draw.
Is it a good morning, Martin? Judging by your nose attire, I'd say not.
What was all that about?
Oh my God! I'm glad that you had some Glenfiddich in the house, because that has taken the edge off what was a dreadful 90 minutes of football.
We had
I'm struggling to process that game and how bad that was.
Just I'm lost for words.
I'm lost for words as well. Can we go to the?
I'm trying to think of some bright spots. The best one. What was his name? The ref.
Mike Dean.
Mike Dean. Yeah, he blew the whistle, at the end. That was good.
Yeah. Oh, thank
That was
God.
brilliant. Yeah, I thought the way he blew the whistle was brilliant.
Yeah, we'll drink to Mike Dean
Uh,
for that one, for putting us all out of our misery.
And to be honest, actually, Pope had a good game.
Pope had a
No
good game.
silliness there.
Tarky was okay.
Yeah, but my God, we couldn't pass water.
We couldn't pass water. Martin, if any of those players had gone into a Bangkok brothel with a crisp $100 note stapled to their bell ends, they still couldn't score.
Oh, they come out with $200 on their dick.
We just never looked like scoring.
Oh.
The passing was atrocious. It was like they never played together.
Oh, it was
There was
abysmal.
balls going out. There was balls being hit long. They were like hitting it to each other and then not. It was just a shambles from start
Yeah.
to finish.
Anyway, with that low point, we got a point, which I'm quite grateful for. And it took 2 points. I mean, West Brom should have won it, and we took 2 points away from them. So we kept the gap between us and them the same.
It looks like Fulham are going to win though. So Fulham are going to close the gap. Newcastle look like they're in trouble. So thankfully, they're going to. Hopefully, but it looks like it could be a battle between Newcastle and Fulham for that last place.
Oh no, I think Fulham will stay up. Actually, we'll work the way out of it, and that'll be one of the next 5 or 6 that will end up joining West Brom and Sheffield United. That's my pick.
We need some more whiskey, mate.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, the guys get a week off now, so we heard from the manager, and the excuses were that they're tired and all this kind of stuff. No mental sharpness, so there shouldn't be any excuses next week.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's put that one. Let's forget about that one and move on.
Yeah. All right.
Up the Clarets. Bye, mate.
Bye.
Evening, Clarets. West Brom post-match. How to react to that? My God. I wasn't going to do one because I'm not really sure how you react to something with very little happened. Abysmal performance. Result. It's not the end of the world. It's still a point looking at it positively, which I tried to do. But it should have been 6 points over the last 2 games, especially coming off the back of the Palace away. I thought that was going to have the same impact that Leicester did last year, where, beat them and go on a good run to the end of the season. And certainly the performance at Palace suggested that. And then Fulham was a bit of a regression from that. And then today's been a further regression from that. That's what's worrying for me, is that performances seem to be going backwards a little bit. And I get it, because, if anything, that bench showed how weak and threadbare the squad is. We already knew that, but it sort of pointed it out to us, didn't it, really? So what can Daesh do with that? There's no one on the bench can come on and make a positive impact on the game. Can't change the system. Not that he ever does, but he couldn't do anyway. I think everyone could predict that starting 11 every week. We know who it's going to be. Barnes has got injured. On top of that, Goodmanson, Brady, so we have got these injuries. And I haven't seen any post-match from Daesh, but I know he's going to say something like tiredness, number of games, thin squad. It's all true, but as a club, so it's not just his fault, but as a club, this shouldn't have been addressed. It should have been identified early that the squad is thin, and it should have been dealt with. And it hasn't been, which is obviously, for me, the cause of this. I just hope it's not a mid-season slump. I hope that this regression gets dealt with and nipped in the bud. I don't think we're in danger of going down. But for me, it was a bit concerning because West Brom looks like they were the ones that weren't in the relegation zones and we were. And it shouldn't have been that way. So hopefully this regression can be addressed before it becomes an issue, because it could be. And we come out fighting over the next few weeks, because it's been a bit poor last 2 games. 2 points from 2 easily winnable matches for me. Not quite good enough.
Hi folks, well, what can we say about the West Brom game? Absolutely awful. Worst performance all season. We'll never play worse. I appreciate the conditions were shocking, and we were up against a team that defend well and stuff and well organised. But some of our passing was atrocious. we have got a long injury list, and that's got to be taken into consideration. We've just got to pick ourselves up and go for Tottenham. Now it's going to be a battle, but we've just got to give it our best shot and hope for the best. But I think we're looking over our shoulder a bit now with Fulham on the march a bit, so we need to keep picking up points. I thought we defended quite well, but our passing was atrocious. It's something we need to work on in training and stuff. But yeah, I think it was a case of too many games. It's caught up with a lot of them, a lot of injuries. Not making excuses, but it's just what it is. It's just we just got to go again for the next game. See what happens. But just need to show more composure in the ball. I do think we should have had a penalty. Because if gave it's the same rules as the red card that was given. His arm was out. It was the same with that penalty. So for me, that was a penalty. So yeah, we were unlucky in that sense. But on the balance of the game, you could argue we were lucky to get a point because West Brom had the better chances. We'll go again, and let's hope for a better result next time. Thanks, guys. See you.
Hey, Clarets! How we doing? Anti-football, eh? Whew, bloody hell. I tell you what, normally I give it a bit of time, after game and calm down and gather my thoughts, but this is straight after that game, and as you can probably tell, I've been tearing my biggin' hair out. Jesus Christ, what a shower of shit that were! Eh? Oh, bloody disgusted with that performance. Oh dear, 10 men! 10 men and we were bloody hanging on for a biggin' drawing end. Jesus, they should have won it with them chances. We're just lucky as fuck that fucking West Brom got fucking hit a bar door or whatever you say. Oh, bloody hell, really disappointing. I don't know. Oh, we were rubbish. I know we've got pigging injuries, but that's no excuse for people not being able to pass fucking 5 yards to each other. We were just, but even before 10 men, we just weren't at it. That performance was up there, well, down there, with early season performances. That were a repeat of that form, and we don't want to be going down that road. Oh no, we're not out of it yet. Oh, Jesus. Oh, what a load of shit. Unbelievable. But, man, we were shit. Let's make no bones about it. We were shit. But there were some fucking dodgy decisions and all, weren't there? Should have had a penalty. Clear fucking penalty. What's that fucking bold clown doing? Oh, first game back, he gets a Burnley game, doesn't he? That fucking idiot, Dean. Oh, I don't know. You can see why people get pissed off with him, can't you? Alright, we won't go as far as to bloody send death threats, but, it's only football at the end of the day, but fucking hell, he's an idiot. He doesn't help himself, does he? Unbelievable. Oh, the damn ball, when bloke puts his arm out, that's the rule, innit? If you put your arm out, make yourself bigger, and ball it's your arm, it's a penalty. That's exactly what he did. Oh, well, to be fair to Dean, VAR didn't even pick it up. What the fuck are they doing there? With their feet up, having a brew, not fucking watching game? Jesus Christ, what's the point of bloody VAR if you're not going to fucking find penalties like that? Oh, but, we shouldn't have needed that anyway. With bloody, we're against 10 men. But, I suppose Darshall said that, won't it? Oh, it's hard, isn't it, with 10 when they get 10 men and they park most so men behind ball. But that's no excuse for them having all best chances at game. They could have had 2 or 3 through 1 hour goal. Unbelievable. Oh, I'm fucking fuming. I need a big drink after that. Whew. But hopefully we've got enough in bank. What do we need now, like? Point a game or something, isn't it? If we get a point a game to end the season, we're safe. and we've been averaging that just about up until now. So, fingers crossed, we'll be right, hopefully. Well, they don't make it fucking easy for us, do they? Drive me to piggy bottle, they do. Bloody hell. Alright, Clarets, I'm going to have to go for a fucking penny and a half now and calm the fuck down. Take care of yourselves. Sarah! Anti-football! Anti-football! Anti-football!
So that was the fan reaction. Thanks again to everybody for sending their reactions in. And as usual, if you want to get involved, you can. We are always looking for more people to get involved, especially now that Kieran has started doing watch-alongs. So we've lost somebody for the fan reaction. And Neil does watch-alongs every now and then as well. So if Neil gets back on the watch-alongs, then we could be screwed. So if you want to send some fan reactions in, please do. We're always looking for more people to get involved. Now, what I want to do is what I usually do at this point, to be fair, is talk about my fan time question from Pitch Sport. Because this week I've uploaded one and it's ready. It's ready there now. So if you want to pause the podcast, go over to Pitch Sport and answer the question. We will read them out on next week's podcast. So I'm going to try and get it again because now that there's not some games. In fact, I think there is next week, isn't there? I think we're playing Leicester on Wednesday. So I'm talking shit. I like to get the fan time question in on Wednesday so that I can promote it on the podcast on Wednesday night. Then you lot can all answer it on Thursday. Then I can go back to it next week and keep the cycle going. But recently, they've been a little bit all over the place because there's been some games on Wednesday and stuff like that. So it seems a bit silly to send a question in before a game for then something different to happen in the game. And then, there could be a really big talking point in that game. So that's what I want to do. But then I think Leicester next week is Wednesday. So I probably won't send it till... It's what, sorry?
6 p.m. Wednesday.
Yeah, so I probably won't send next week's till about Thursday. But we might even do the podcast next week on Tuesday and put it out Wednesday. But as usual, we might not. Just follow us on social media and I'll put the link out as and when we do put it out. But this week, the question is up, as I've said, and this week I'll ask Simon the question now to get his natural... He's on his phone, so I reckon he's quickly trying to find out what the question is. Because he don't like it when I throw him under the bus, but I like the natural answer. So my question this week is, are you happy with Burnley's points tally from their last 3 games? Of course, the Crystal Palace game, 1, so that's 3 points. Fulham game, drew, so that's 4 points. West Brom game, drew, that's 5 points. Now, the argument here could be, well, we didn't lose any of the games and we didn't lose against the sides that are around us, so none of them have caught any ground on us, really. Well, they have, because Fulham ended up beating Sheffield United, but against us, they hadn't. So we have kept them at bay a little bit, especially West Brom, but of course we haven't pulled away either, so I could see the argument for both here. But Simon, are you happy or disappointed or middling with the points from the last 3 games?
I'm going to say I'm happy with it, and the reason for that is because...
Very interesting.
The reason for that is because if you'd have asked me them 3 games prior to it, I know we had a couple of results, don't get me wrong, but overall I'd have thought I want 2 home wins, and I took a Crystal Palace defeat, which is only 1 point more than what we've come out with. Now, it was ugly, it wasn't exciting for the 2 home games, but we got the magnitude of the away win prior to that was actually really impressive. And I think ultimately I would have definitely said to you, I want 6 points from them 3 games. Wouldn't have expected a win at Palace, maybe 7 if I'm pushing it, but I'd definitely expected 6, and we've got 5. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, see, I agree with you in a sense of, I won't say I'm happy with it. Before I put that out there now, I'm disappointed with it. But I agree with you in the fact that I wanted minimum 6 points. We didn't achieve that. So in my head, we haven't achieved what we went out to do. So I'm happy that we haven't lost any of them, of course, but we should have minimum 6 points for me. What's that confused face for?
I've got a flashback of some conversation where you said,
I said we will win all 6. Yeah, I remember saying that we will win all 3 games. But
to me, and if we get relegated, is your words.
No, I said if what did I say?
I'm sure you said if we don't get 6 points or whatever points you said, we'll get relegated. We need to go back and listen to that episode.
We can do. I don't think I'd have said relegated, but I remember saying we will win. I said I think my prediction was we will win all three. And especially when we beat Palace, I was confident that was going to come true. But then we after the sublime, we went to the ridiculous and put in the shit performances against the teams where you would have thought would have been better against, but we weren't good enough against them. But at least we didn't lose them, especially the Fulham game, because Fulham, especially now, are breathing down our necks. But I think 6 points was a minimum, and we didn't get that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with 5. Wanted 6, expected 6 almost, but. Regular listeners, regular watchers, viewers, whatever we want to call you, or whatever platform you're listening on. Fans, yeah, that'll do. Tevcastians, if you remember what he said, put it in the comments below or send me a DM, because I'm adamant he said we'd get relegated or something really dramatic.
I might have done it for effect. I can't remember. I might have gone full Adrian Durham. So basically, I turned into a wanker. But that's it. Like I said, the fan reaction, the Pitch Sport question, the fan time is on the Pitch Sport app now. If you haven't already, please go and download it. Simon's doing a wonderful modelling job now. It's available on the App Store and the Google Play Store. Right, next up then, and we'll have a quick brief chat here about the Tottenham game before we wrap it all up. It is, of course, Tottenham this Sunday. First things first, are you busy or are you free for a watch-along?
I think I'm free, yeah. I don't think I've got anything on. I'll let you know if there's changes.
Fair enough. So that's good news. Well, the watch-along's on anyway, because I'm not working. I'll do it on my own if I have to. So the watch-along will be on. So if you're a watch-along fan, please come over to the watch-along at 5 minutes before kick-off, whatever the kick-off time is on Sunday against Spurs. Now, Spurs are in action tonight. All right, they're in action against a bunch of dinner ladies, Wolfsburger, AC, and I think they won quite comfortably. But they'll have been focusing on that game all week. And I know we say this a lot, and a lot of times, especially when they're at home, it doesn't really have too much of an effect on them. But we haven't played since Saturday. They played at the time of recording this tonight, so Wednesday. So it's got to have a bit of effect on them, hasn't it?
Yeah, massively, mate. I'm just looking now. Joe Hart, Alderweireld, Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, Doherty, Sissoko, Lamela, Ali. Ali, by the way, 1 goal, 2 assists, started the game.
Fair enough, fair play. Hopefully they'll play against us then.
Bergwijn, Winks and Vinicius.
So they've made a lot of changes, to be fair, but all week they'll have been preparing for that game. What's that?
Gareth Bale didn't even start. He come off bench, scored as well.
It's because he played so well last week, isn't it? So I think I remember seeing that at work today. I think what's happened there is Jose's thought he's played really well in his last game. He deserves a start now, but I think he's going to start him in the Premier League rather than the Europa League, so he'll probably start against us.
Yeah, probably. So looking at the team they've played, relatively strong. Yeah, a few changes in there, but there is definitely some first team in there. They've put a shift in. They've won 8-1 on aggregate, 4-0 on the night. Does that have a mental effect? How many times in history, not just in this current season where we're playing back-to-back games anyway, how many times do you hear us, big clubs, go to Europa on Thursday and lose on Sunday? It's not unseen. It's not unheard of. It's quite common back in the day. Possibly even better in our favour now because of the midweek game, the lack of rest that they have all season, never mind just now. And we have, for once, had a big, decent week of no footy. So,
yeah.
Does it make an impact? I think it will, yeah. But hopefully it's enough of an impact to get a result.
Yeah, see, I'll be honest, I'm not harbouring any hopes of a result here. I know Tottenham have been out of form, so a few people will look at it and say like we're being negative and stuff. But I think the fact that Tottenham have been so out of form will work in not in our favour. Sorry, I think it's a perfect chance for them. They'll see it as a perfect chance to sort of get the swagger back, to get a win, to get points on the board again, and to get back playing how they want. So I'm not really harbouring any hopes for this, and I think it could be a bit of a tough afternoon.
Yeah, massively tough afternoon. Let's put it this way, mate. Even if they start what is their reserves, that's Gareth Bale, mate. And he's on loan from Madrid. And granted, he's not having the whirlwind approach to the second spell at Tottenham that everyone expected. But he is quality. And I don't think he's been played in the right games. And if you ask me, if I'm a Spurs fan, I don't even think Burnley's the right game for him. He needs to be playing him where he can get him behind and run at people. And you're not necessarily going to get that many opportunities to do that against a club like us that sit back. So, can we handle Bale? Possibly, yeah, I think we can. But he's still not to be taken lightly. And they've got Kane and Son And that's if Bale plays, mate, because they're big fans of Lucas at the minute, aren't they? More.
Exactly. They've just got so many options at the minute, and a lot of them haven't played tonight against, the dinner ladies Wolfsburger. So there could be a lot of fresh legs for Spurs on Sunday, and a big chance, like I said, that they'll see to get their form back. But anyway, we'll wrap it up with some predictions. What are you thinking for Sunday? I know you don't like predicting a defeat after everything you've just said.
No, I'm going to go for 1-0 to the Clarets. I'm going to nick a goal and hold on. Hopefully Chris Wood's back in the frame as well.
Well, fingers crossed, because not much has been said about his injury, and I'm sort of like getting a bit worried about that now. This is nothing that we know, or nothing that we've been told. I notice a pattern with Dyche, and if he doesn't talk about an injury in the press, it tends to mean that it's quite bad, or it's longer than we originally thought. Yeah. And I seem to remember when he first got injured, he went, it's a couple of weeks, it's just a knock. And it's been about a month, I think, already. So he's already over that. And we're still not hearing anything about him. The press conference is tomorrow or today, if you listen to this on Thursday. So fingers crossed. Well, it usually is. With the game being on Sunday, they might push it to Friday, to be fair. But the press conference hasn't been on yet. So fingers crossed, Borden or James or whatever asks Jones as well. I was thinking of Andy Jones then. Sorry, Andy. Asks about Chris Wood, because if you're listening, I know Alex listens to the podcast, so Alex, if you're listening, ask him about Chris Wood, mate. We need an update on Chris Wood. Will Chris Wood be back for the game at Spurs? He likes a goal against Spurs, does Chris Wood. But my prediction, again, I don't want to do sort of like good cop, bad cop, but Simon thinks we're going to get beat. He just doesn't say it. I think we're going to get beat, and I'm going to say it. I think 2-0 Spurs are sort of like comfortable run-of-the-mill win for them. I think they'll come at us, try and get an early goal. Whether they get one or not, if they get one, the floodgates could open again, as it did a few years ago, a couple of years ago actually. It's opened quite a few times at Spurs, to be fair. But no, I'm going 2-0 Spurs. I'm going 2-0 Spurs. I don't think we've got no creativity. If we have Chris Wood back, we'd have a chance on set pieces. But we'd have to keep it tight. And we are capable of keeping it tight, don't get me wrong, but we're not capable of creating anything. So we need Chris Wood back to have a chance at set pieces, because with Mumbongo, because I've heard that Jay could be injured. That's just a rumour on Twitter. I've not seen anyone report it. But that is just a rumour on Twitter that Jay could be injured. So it could even be Mumbongo and Vidra up front. And if that's the case, then we might as well pack up and go home now, because we're not going to create anything, because we don't create anything through the midfield, and we're not going to do anything with set pieces. Fingers crossed I'm a bit more positive on Sunday on the watch along though, because that were pretty negative. But after the performance against West Brom, what can you expect? What can you expect from me? But that's it then, unless there's anything you want to add, Simon.
No, thank you very much. Let's review it next week and see what we get.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We will be back next week. Whether we release it Thursday morning or Wednesday morning remains to be seen. What I will do, if you're watching on YouTube, you can now see all our social medias at the bottom. So if you do want to keep up to date when the latest podcast is being released, just follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or of course YouTube, and everything will be on there as well.
Got a question.
For me or for the listeners?
For you.
Go on.
Have you got Sky sorted?
He's coming. He was meant to come on Tuesday. He was meant to come on Tuesday, but I'll tell you off air. He couldn't come on Tuesday for a very specific reason. I don't want to release personal details of the aerial man, because it were a family situation. So he couldn't come on Tuesday. But he said he's rearranged it for Friday. So whether he comes on Friday, I don't know. Fingers crossed. You'll know because I'll send you a picture of the scar dish.
Can't wait.
But yeah, fingers crossed I have it for the watch along on Sunday. If not, we'll just do it with our perfectly legal streaming device. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening / watching, and we'll see you another time.